this session, and we'll be sharing it on the PAC website sometime next week. You'll get an email when it's ready. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. Happy February to everybody. We do have lots of information to share with you today. So again, thanks for joining us, and we have lots of people in the audience today too. So thank you everybody for joining us this morning. Okay, so first up, we will have updates from the executive board. So one of the things that we have going on that's pretty exciting is we do have a t-shirt design contest going on. So if you are interested in submitting a design to not necessarily replace, but to refresh our design from this year, please feel free to send it to executiveboard@imsapac.org by March 19th. So this contest is open to parents and students alike, and even staff members. If anybody wants to submit, feel free. The format is here. The information is here. So feel free to reach out to us too if you need more information, info@imsapac.org. And hold on a second. We seem to be having an issue. Hold on. Give me one moment, please. Okay. So we're back. I think I'm still, okay. Okay. Sorry about that all. We will go back. So again, if you have any t-shirt designs that you're interested in submitting, feel free to do so by March 19th. Okay, next up are some exciting things going on too. So we do have nominations open for the PAC Executive Board. So for those who may not recall, the way that the elections work is first you have to nominate yourself. So go ahead and scan the QR code or go to imsapac.org and fill out the form. That is available through March 31st. And I really encourage people to go ahead and step up and be part of the executive board, because there's so much that you'll get out of it, besides meeting some wonderful fellow IMSA parents and guardians, and also getting to know more about IMSA itself, and being able to be at these PAC sessions every month. But it really is a great fulfilling thing to do, is be part of the executive board. But also, more importantly, we do have parents of seniors on the board that will be leaving, including myself. So we do need some more people to step up and nominate themselves so that we can continue the great work that's being done by the PAC. So nominations will be announced in April, and then you'll have opportunity to vote through April 30th. So how it works is the top 4 candidates from the voting will form the incoming executive board, and then between those 4, they will determine who will take on those different roles: president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And then those 4 of the executive board will then interview and appoint the roles of junior and senior parent representatives. And in the fall, once the parents of sophomores are in place, then they will also appoint the sophomore parent representative. So the election results will be announced at our May PAC general session. So we do hope that many of you will join us at that time to help welcome the incoming board. And their terms will start July 1st. Okay. So again, consider nominating yourself for the PAC Executive Board. And if you have any questions at all about what's entailed in any of these positions, please feel free to reach out to us. So if you have questions about the election itself, you can email election@imsapac.org. If you have any questions or want to reach out to any of the current officers, just email us at info@imsapac.org. Also, we want you, so if you are not interested in being part of the Executive Board, there's lots of ways for you to get involved in the PAC as well. So besides the Executive Board having parents of seniors, we actually do have like Carrie Morgan, Susan Jones here that's in the audience, and some of our other great committee chairs this year that are parents of seniors and will not be returning next year. So we do need some wonderful volunteers to step up, because otherwise some of these programs will not be able to continue. So again, feel free to contact us if you have any questions about what's entailed in that. And I also wanted to announce, because I know that there's been questions about the internship programs, our March guest speaker for the PAC session will be Sue Fricano, and she is the one who is in charge of the IMSA's internship program. So she will be joining us in March to talk more about the program and also answer your questions. So we hope you'll join us, and the meeting is on March 4th. Okay, next we have updates from our treasurer.
Good morning. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. So our current assets are about $70,934. That's a combination of our checking and our reserves. Our checking is our flow in, flow out account, and our reserves is kept to cover any contracts that we have. If you'll go to the next screen for me, please. This is just a slide that shows where we're at on our income. We're almost 100% complete on all of our income except for the IMSA fund. I need to reach out to them to see if they're going to be making their additional payment for this portion of the year. Other than that, we're almost 100% funded, except for we're waiting for sales of our senior banquet tickets to continue to roll in. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. Again, this is our expenses. You can take a look at this slide if you needed to see where we're at on our expenses. We will be funding another round trip bus transportation trip this next coming week. And senior banquet will be continue to be an expense for us until the end of the year. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. And that's it for the treasury report. And as always, if you have any questions about if you're a committee chair member, you can always reach out to me and find out what you currently have in your budget for the remaining of the year at treasurer@imsapac.org. Thanks all.
Excellent programs continue for our students. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Oh, so someone in the chat just mentioned that they weren't able to hear audio. So do apologize about that. Yes, would you mind repeating that, please? Sorry, Rashmi.
Sorry, Rashmi. Once again, thank you all for joining us today. And I was saying that sophomore parents now have had one semester behind us, and our questions more are focused on academics as well as college related. We've had a number of questions submitted by sophomore parents, so we'll have some of them answered hopefully today and in the subsequent weeks as well. Our next parent meeting is on the 14th, so please join us for that. And also, I encourage all sophomore parents to step up and join our committees because we really need your help and we'd like these excellent programs to continue for our kids. So thank you.
Okay, next we have our junior parent representative. So Maitri. So I'm not sure if Maitri, oh, there she is. She's just joining us. Okay, so we'll give her 1 second. Maitri? Maitri? Okay, she might be connecting to audio.
Hey,
So,
Maria, good morning. Maitri joined.
good morning. So you're perfect timing. We've got your updates up.
All right, okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Maitri. For the junior rep update, I don't have a whole lot of update because we met about a couple of weeks back. However, our next meeting would be February 21st. And then all the information that we have been relaying with our junior parent community was just paying attention to the college prep process that our CAC team members have sent us. I think we're all going through the CAC, the college meeting that we are doing with all our CACs and our student and parents. I think we are addressing all the one-on-one, the questions that we have with them. And what else? I think the best part would be to just have those milestones in front of us. So we are kind of paying attention to those. And then one thing that I wanted to share was as we are preparing to meet with our CAC, the college list is an important one to weigh in with your CAC member and just kind of evaluate if that's a good list for you based on your parameters and the guidelines that the CAC had presented. I think that's about it for me for this time, Maria. If there are
Okay,
any
thanks.
questions, I'm happy to take.
Does anybody have any questions for Maitri? So the slide deck will be shared with you as well next week. So so upcoming meeting for the junior parents is on Tuesday, February 21st at 8 p.m. You can scan this QR code or go on imsapac.org for more information. And the update for senior parent representative is that the meetings for senior parents are on Thursday, February 16 at 8 p.m. And again, you can scan this QR code for more information or go to the PAC's website and click on senior parents. Next, we have updates from the committees. We've got Friday Fest.
Okay, this is Carrie Morgan and Melissa Slynn is my co-chair. We wanted to send a great big thank you out to all of the families that donated food, money, and or their time for the January Friday Fest. The kids told us that this was the best one yet, so we really appreciate all of you stepping up and helping out. Next slide, please. Here are a couple of photos from the January Friday Fest. And then the next slide. And we just wanted to remind everybody again that both Melissa and I are parents of seniors, which means that we won't be here next year. So we would really like someone to step up and take over the committee and maybe shadow us for the upcoming events so that then they can take over next year. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at fridayfest@imsapac.org.
Thank you. And then we have an update for Hospitality Committee. So Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up in May, which may sound like it's a long ways away, but as we've, I think, been able to see that just from this past couple of months, that kind of flies by. So Teacher Appreciation Week is May 8th through May 12th. So basically, we need volunteers to help plan and execute events for IMSA faculty and staff. We do have a couple of our PAC team that's already volunteered to help out with that, but we definitely do need more volunteers just to help execute that. So if you are available, please email info@imsapac.org if you're available to help. So I just wanted to stress, you do not need to be local to help out. There's many ways that you can get involved, and actually we've had a conversation with another parent who was talking about possibly doing some crafts to put together for the staff and faculty. So that's definitely something that can be done. And even if you have ideas for what you can do for the week, that's also very helpful. So again, feel free to reach out if you're able to help out in any capacity. So we can show our love to the staff and faculty that are here with our kids every day. Okay, next we have updates from Multicultural.
I think we invited the student rep, but I think they're not here yet. We told them come around 10:30. Can you move us a little bit behind the other committees? So we'll
Sure.
present it later.
Okay, so let me go to the next update. So pretend you didn't see those slides just yet. Next, we have regional representatives.
Hi, everybody. This is Susan. I hate to sound like a broken record, but we are looking for a co-chair for regional representatives. We have one person signed up, but she would like someone to co-chair with her. It's always easier if there's two people because you can bounce ideas off each other. We are also looking for regional representatives for every region except Region 4. We got Region 4 covered. Regional reps are in charge of planning the summer picnics. It's a great way to meet other IMSA families and to welcome those Sophomore families and get a lot of questions answered between the parents and the kids. So if you're interested in volunteering either to be a regional rep, and you can be a regional rep and a co-chair as well. I did that. You can email region, I forgot my email, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
region1@imsapac.org.
Thank you, Susan. So as Susan mentioned, it's really a great way because the student body and the families at IMSA are from all over the state. This is a great way to kind of meet a smaller subsection of the families, and especially because they're local to you. So one thing that we've noticed is if you do live a little further away from IMSA, sometimes knowing those families that are more local to you, because we've seen it where somebody's like, oh no, my child forgot this or forgot that from extended. Is anybody heading up that way? Things like that. It's a great way, and also for just for support to have. So feel free to reach out to her. Next, we have updates from Senior Banquet.
Hi, Maria. This is Jen. I don't know if anybody from the Senior Banquet Committee is on the call. If you are and want to report, just identify yourself. I'll give you a quick second. Okay, so these are our members on the Senior Banquet Committee. If you see them out and about, please thank them for stepping up and organizing the Senior Banquet this year. The next virtual meeting will be Saturday, February 25th. If anybody would like to hop on that call and listen to all the great things that we're doing for the Senior Banquet this year, we'd love to have you. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. We are lacking in Senior Banquet photos for the students for the slideshow. So if you haven't already combed through all your photos of your graduate, please start combing through those and submitting those as soon as possible. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. One of the newest developments is that we are sold out of all of our extra seats. We will be moving to a wait list option by the end of today. So it is really, really important that if you're a senior family and you are not going to the Senior Banquet, please reach out to us and release your tickets, because we will have people on the wait list that will need extra tickets for extended family, like grandparents and aunts and uncles or people who are traveling in from town. So please release your seat so we can make sure that everybody who wants to go to the Senior Banquet has a seat. If you'll go to the next slide for me, please. And before I release it to the Student Life Committee, I just wanted to let you know too, senior families, that the senior theme has been selected from the SEC and StudCo. I don't know if they have released that information yet, but there is a hint on our Senior Banquet page on our website. If you want to take a look there. And just a reminder, we're only about 45 days out from the deadline to purchase tickets. 45 days is not a lot of time. And, you know, the Senior Banquet is almost like planning a wedding for 700 people. So if you'll please check out the website today, if you have not already, and start making your reservations. The committee would greatly appreciate it. And that's all from me. Thanks so much.
Great. And I wanted to, give a plug for Senior Banquet because it is really a fun time. It's a great time for you to be there with parents of seniors, with your child, to celebrate with them and with other families. So there is great food, great dancing, great entertainment. So it really is a nice way to celebrate the night before graduation. So next we have updates from student life.
Everybody, this is Susan again. If you go to the next slide. I just wanted to say shout out to all the wing parents. We've had some wonderful events in this second semester, and there's a lot more happening this week. We've had, you want to go to the next one? I don't have many pictures this time, but we've had waffle, pancake cooking nights, donuts, Valentine treat bags. There's so many things going on, especially this week. We're also looking forward to Clash of the Halls. Pi Day, unfortunately, falls during spring break this year. So we're thinking of pushing Pi Day a little bit early and doing a kind of Clash of the Halls Pi Day combination with pizzas, pies, anything anyone can think of. If you go to the next one. If you want to reach out to Student Life, you can email any of the three of us at studentlife@imsapac.org, and we'll be happy to help with questions, or if anyone still wants to volunteer. We have a whole semester ahead. There's always time. Thanks.
Thank you. Sergina. And we will rewind and go to multicultural. One more. Okay.
Hi, good morning, IMSA parents. My name is Mei-Lin Lu. I'm one of the co-chair of the Multicultural Committee. Next one. Margarita.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm a co-chair with Mei-Lin for the Multicultural Committee, and I'm going to be a senior parent. I'll talk about that toward the end. So I would like to introduce Jared, one of the student board member who put together the cultural show for the Asian and Latino show this past weekend. So Jared, go ahead.
Yep. So hi, everyone. Hi, parents. My name is Jarek Lee. I was one of the show directors for the Casa de la Luna show. So I just wanted to come on and thank you all for all the food that you guys donated, all the money that you guys donated. Students really loved it. Students are really thankful. And thank you also for coming to support our show and watching the show. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I do want to talk about a couple things first. So with the parent overflow, we didn't account for how many parents actually came. That was on us. And we're really sorry for all the parents that had to sit in into to watch the show. That's not what we wanted. And moving forward, we will be definitely discussing on how to mitigate that, how to resolve these problems that we've had, along with like how long the show was. We did not expect the show to be about 3.5 hours long. We actually planned it to be about 2.5, about our time frame, but just with some kinks, we started a little bit later. Along those problems, it didn't go as well as we hoped. But we're talking with Rodrigo, we're talking with the school admin, we're talking with each other on how to better the show. Next year, we'll probably move back to our 4 individual shows, so that the time frame will be shorter. And hopefully, as we talk more, as we are discussing these issues, we'll definitely better them. And so thank you guys again. Just wanted to come on and say this, so thank you. And then we also have one of Asia's SOF representatives, Anna Yang, here. She also just wants to say a few words.
Hi guys, I'm Anna. I just wanted to make sure to thank the multicultural community, especially Miss Lou and Miss Margaret. We really appreciate all the time, effort, and like multiple hours on Zoom logistics you have spent with us, especially this year because we had, combined culture shows. There was a lot of, we definitely could improve on communication on our side, and we'll definitely try to improve that for next year's and make sure everything goes much more smoother. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you.
Yeah, thank you, students. Mei-Lin, do you want to pick it up? Then I close.
Yeah, okay. So just a little bit overview, right? This time we were really worried like students don't have enough food because there's only a few parents sign up. So we were thinking to the catering, and we asked parents to donate money because a lot of parents just came to the Friday fast, so they don't have the energy and the time to make food again. So I was talking to, we have like a Chinese parents group with like a WeChat group. I was talking to in the group, say, hey, we need your help. So like in one day, right, all the parents was donating money, try to raise it. So we were able to raise like $1,400,000. So we divided, like I spent half for the Asian food, mainly Chinese food, and half for the Hispanic food. So I was able to order from our local restaurant. They have very good food, and the restaurant owner very nice. So they like give us extra. So like, for example, the dumpling, they were making like 4 different color with different fillings. And also give us like much more. It was like a 70 piece. They give us 100 piece. So we really appreciate it. I think students really love the different culture food. And like Jerry mentioned, there's definitely there's things we can improve, we can do better. And Margaret is graduating, and her daughter is senior. So we actually also recruiting the parents for different cultures. So we have the Asian culture, then we need the other culture as well. Margaret, go ahead. You're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this was the first year for the PAC to have multicultural. So both my group and the student group, we all learn from each other. So they also saw, and not only that, it was difficult because of the combined culture, which was the initial, the November group, they had that concern, just doing the communication. So this is supposed to be fun, not stressful. They have academic, which is stressful. So they should be doing this fun education to all of us about the show, which I really enjoyed the first 2 years. That was separately, you did learn about each culture culture for that group. So we're hoping that next year they go back to the four different culture shows, so the student will really enjoy it, educate all of us. And with that saying, we definitely need parents to volunteer to step up for each of the culture, because it will help a lot. Because I know when they did Harambe, I know a lot of African store that can easily go there and purchase special food. And so mailing with the Asian, Latino, because I'm around this area, so I know where to go. So we do need at least 4 parents to go share. And that way they could just give their input and document. Yeah, this is the IMSA culture. So the student look forward to enjoy it, the food, how they love it. Like we said, they just don't want to taste the food, they want to eat the food. So they really stop themselves waiting for that food to be, whether it's cold, it doesn't matter to them. They can eat at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, please step up and volunteer so they can continue with this show, ongoing tradition here at IMSA. Again, we thank all the parents that donated money and time and food. So if you have any feedback, please send it to our way so we can change it to make it better for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you again to Mei-Ling and Marguerite for the student representatives for all the time that you all put together to organize everything.
Maria,
we do
can I steal 2 seconds, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to give a big shout out to the entire student community that they put up such an incredible show. I think, with all the busy schedule they have, it just speaks volumes for how multifaceted they are. So thank you again for putting up an incredible show, and it just was wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so next, so we can go through regional representatives again, or senior banquet, student life. Okay, so next we have updates from our representatives from IMSA. So the first is student council. Do we have our student council representative on? Nope, okay. So we'll go back to that. We'll see if they join us in a little bit to give those. So Manny, are you on the call? Oh, wait, are they muted? Maybe?
Can they unmute themselves?
Yes. If you're on the call, you can unmute yourself. Can you go on the participants list and search for Manuel? Oh, okay, so I don't think he's on yet. So we will go back to him as well. We're kind of flying through these updates a little bit sooner than we usually do, so that may be why. So Dr. Glazer, are you ready to speak to us for now?
Hi, good morning.
If you'd like, or wherever you'd like.
Go ahead.
And I'll stop sharing if you'd like to share your slides.
Yeah, that's great. Good morning, everyone.
And then you might need to mute yourself there. I can bring this over to you if you'd like. Whichever.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Great to see you all in person and our friends online. I am sitting at a table in with everyone here. Before I jump into my presentation with a few remarks, I have a couple things to share with you. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. There it is. All right. That is our lost and found. Now, I have a few operating hypotheses. So my operating hypotheses are that some students may feel that they do not need to carry around a coat, because if they did, then they would come and find their coat in lost and found. Now, I also believe that parents wish that their children wear coats, particularly when they're complaining that it's so cold walking from the res halls to the building. And the res halls are fairly close, but that's part 2 of my story. So if you are online or in here and you see a coat that looks very familiar, what you shouldn't do is tell your students to go get their coat, because they probably already know that their coat is missing, but they may not. So instead, you can email me, or you can email Stacy Marsden or the attendance office and say, I believe my child's coat is in the lost and found. And then what we will do is attach their name to the coat and find a way to deliver it. But our interest is for our students to stay warm in the wintertime, even though they may feel it's not necessary. Now, the second part of my story is that our students recently have declared that it's unpleasant to have to walk through the main entrance, particularly if the residence hall is wrapped around the building. So instead of walking 1 block, they may have 2 blocks to walk. Now, for those of us who grew up like walking 2 miles to school, uphill both ways, in 12 inches of snow, we don't have much sympathy for that. However, the students have taken it to such a level that you can find online a rumor that's swirling that we're going to build a subway at IMSA from the res halls to the main building. Now, they do put in fine prints that it is a satire. But I will, it's true, we have locked buildings, and when it gets unusually cold, like cold, then we will have people stationed at the back doors to let them in, right? So we're not trying to be cruel to them. We're trying to remind them that we're trying to keep a safe environment. And you can imagine in a campus that's spread out, we have to have fewer access points based on the staffing we have available. Anyhow, if you saw your child's coat, please just let us know, and we'll make sure it's delivered to that person. Okay, I'm going to share an update on, just this week, by the way, we have, we're releasing information about our summer camps. So our residential camps we released this past week, and those are available online. But the day camps, we're releasing information this week. And our day camps are in Aurora, are in Springfield, and are also in downstate near Belleville, Metro East area. So if you have younger children, you know, a great way to connect them to IMSA is through our extension programs. I can't help but ask over there, do we have an aspiring student or an aspiring PAC member? What grade are you in, my friend? 3rd grade. Well, this is great. You know, we have summer camps for 3rd graders, rising 4th graders. Yeah, so go, you know, maybe you could talk to parents into it, but check it out. Check it out. They're like 1-week camps where you can experience IMSA. You know, it's funny, we have at the same time today, we have these tours of IMSA for prospective families. But, you know, if anyone wants to like step out and recruit prospective PAC members, you know, you can find a way to sneak through the hallways. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about out-of-state students, because that is an upcoming adjustment for the Academy. And I want to just clarify any questions and share some of our plans about how we're preparing for the students, and just give you kind of a little bit of an overview in a space to ask some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen again, you know, with a few slides, particularly to help those people who are online, and put this in present mode. I think that's this. There we go. Okay, so we're starting a pilot. And the reason why it's a pilot is our facilities are limited right now. They're limited in a lot of ways, but now I'm talking about like the physical space of how to incorporate students, because we're not reducing the number of Illinois students coming to IMSA, but instead we're looking for ways to increase our overall enrollment and to provide an IMSA experience. You know, we recognize there are plenty of states that do not have an IMSA. So we've got applicants from Florida and New York and California. They have options available to them, but maybe they want a school like IMSA. There are 13 schools like IMSA in the country, state boarding schools, 4 that really focus on STEM. So that's one value to adding out-of-state students. The other value is economic, that we're having a hard time, not just this year, but for the last 13 years, of keeping up with our revenue stream and inflation. And I'll show you a graphic to display that. But the Academy is charged with exploring ways beyond the state legislation to bring in revenue. Universities have had to deal with this for like 100 years, right? So they've been involving tuition paying students from out of state, out of country, and so forth for a very long time. But IMSA is now facing that challenge in its history right now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of our preparation. And when I'm talking pilot, next year there might be a handful of students. And in 5 years, there might be 15. Not a lot, just a little. But we need to really understand the market demand, and we need to understand, you know, if we can grow beyond that. And at the same time, we need to look at other revenue streams to keep us moving as a whole, our operations as a whole. So here's a quick graphic for you. The blue, so that's the blue line is kind of the state of the economy, the changes in cost of living based on the consumer price index since 2000. For those of you who experienced, you know, 2008, 9, and 10, you can see that's where it's relatively flat. And we're all experiencing the sharp rate of increase now with inflation. The red line is the appropriation from the state. Now, 80% of our funding is coming from the state. So you can see that that gap is changing. It's growing. And I carry a primary responsibility to make sure it doesn't grow. Now, we try and engage all sorts of people along the way to tell this story. And I work with a team that engages our legislators in Springfield to be aware that this gap is growing, and at a point it doesn't become sustainable anymore. So of course, we'll continue to advocate to the state legislation, and at the same time, we have to find ways to generate revenue so that overall we can provide the IMSA experience, the best IMSA experience possible to our students. But if you take the slope, you know, if you modeled the slope of the blue line, you model the slope of the red line, and you have to start asking yourself, how much longer can we sustain not keeping up with inflation? Okay, so there's a primary need to pursue a variety of ways of generating revenue. We have some others, right? We sell curriculum, we offer summer programs, we offer professional learning. We have a student fee. I mean, those are all different kinds of revenue sources. But we can't, we need to continue to find ways to bring in revenue. And tuition paying students is one of them. It's not going to make a difference for 15 students. But if there's sufficient demand in 5 years, where a lot of students want to come to IMSA, then we have to start thinking about how do we build something and grow. Okay. So in the meantime, we're going to give it a try, right? And it's just a handful of students. And the nice thing about having a handful of students is it's allowing us to work out the tweaks, right? So we know we are friends with plenty of people from other boarding schools. We learn about their practices. We'll try some here, and we will tinker with that in such a way that will allow us to continue to get better in our ways of supporting students who live far away. Now, we very well may end up with some students who live closer to IMSA, right, in a different state than right now. So for those of you who are in families who are living downstate, some of the strategies that we're starting to explore might be applicable to downstate families as well. All right, so here's another thing you should be aware of. We went through a facilities assessment late November, December, received a report in January, and the quick summary is that our res halls have about 10 years remaining. They were built in the late 80s. You've probably had a chance to check them out. They're not these, they weren't built to last, right? They're not these big cinder block steel structures. They're fabricated they're fabricated units that were intended like single-use homes, but instead they've been beaten up by teenagers for, you know, over 35 years, around 35 years. And so they need ongoing support. And like, you know, if you have a very old car in a very similar way, like you start funneling in a lot of money to keep an old thing going. So their conclusion to us is you have about 10 years left on those halls. So we need to be purposeful about the creation of new halls into the future. Some of it is through legislation and advocacy to the state government about replacement. We've learned they're not just going to say yes right away to that. The dollar amount can be up to $140 million to do that. There are other, as I mentioned, there's 13 boarding schools like ours in the state that are publicly funded, and we've learned from the North Carolina school that they were able to do a variety of financing aspects, capital campaign, getting funding from the state government. They may or may not pursue their own financing depending on the progress of their capital campaign. So I think the reality is we have to try a variety of things. They're not trying out-of-state students. The demand from in-state in North Carolina is sufficient enough, and they're getting the support from their states. They don't have a graphic like we do. Their state is saying like build a second campus and make that go. So we're still going to advocate heavily on the legislative side, and at the same time we have to find ways to generate revenue. So North Carolina generates revenue by having here's an example. They have a plethora of summer programs that they make available to kids all over, and they also generate revenue by having online programs available to students around the state. So they get an additional appropriation for enrollment. So let's say they want to offer forensic science, object-oriented programming, you know, some unique courses, and they make them available to that a student in another school around the state could take one class. And if they register, then the state supplemented their funding that with that as well. And we can explore that too, right? there's plenty of kids around the state who could value from IMSA in a different way. But this presentation is really intended to focus on helping you understand why we are moving in this direction, and we're trying this as a pilot. It's a slow moving ship, if you will. Okay, so how, we can only squeeze in 12 to 14 students because we're going to be moving some of our residential life staff that don't supervise students to places off campus. We really can't create a lot of extra housing units using external dollars. So the state also has restricted us and has said, like, look, if you want to involve out-of-state students, that's okay. This was approved in 2018. However, you can't use your appropriated dollars to do that. You can't spend that money. You've got to create a separate channel of funding to make that possible. So we're going to charge tuition. That's more money than the cost per pupil. Cost per pupil here is around $30,000. The cost for tuition will be a little bit over $50,000. So we're going to use some of that extra money to create these pathways. Okay, so how are we preparing? So we have a student care group, we have a recruitment group. We're going to handle an admissions process, and as I mentioned, like our use of tuition that's coming in, we're going to have to, for a pilot, just use that to fuel this pilot program. If we're able to get to a point of having 150 out-of-state students in like 10 years, if we're able to build and be able to draw in more students, then that will be an ample amount of extra revenue. But for a pilot, it's just something that we're trying out that we know is self-sustaining, and we're not going to use any Illinois dollars to do that. Okay. So the student care side is looking at how do we handle extended weekends? What are there ways in which they can spend weekends at families? Are there external hosts that are available? We're starting to explore that, and other boarding schools have that as well. And should that be the case, that might be useful for our families out of state. Our recruitment efforts so far have been very light because we've kind of used our alumni network and word of mouth. The media drew attention to it, so there's some awareness. But because we're only attracting a handful of students, we're not going to invest a lot of money trying to recruit students. But we want to really get a sense of that landscape. So that's a quick overview of what we intend. But I'll go ahead and pause and take any questions that you have.
Great job in your presentation. There's no questions.
Well, you know where to reach me. So as you have questions, feel free to reach out. And some of these things we're still sorting through, right? So if a student, let's say, is coming from Florida and we have an extended weekend like this one coming up, we have to sort through where are they going to go, and they can't just jump on a downstate bus. So it may be that some families would be like, sure, we'd love to host a student, or it may be that there's some service that other families can pay for. We run into the same thing with IMSA families, where let's say your child has a fever or has to leave campus in a quick way, and then you as a parent, if you're on the call from downstate or whatever, and you're saying, there's no way I can get to campus in 5 hours because I've got my life right now, and I realize my child has to be off site. We want to have like an emergency contact. Same thing with out-of-state students. We want to have an emergency contact so that someone would be able to support that family who lives far away. And that's not a new concept. It may be a new concept for IMSA, but it's not a new concept for a lot of boarding schools around the country. But that's, I don't know. It's a fun way to get to know different families along the way. So we'll have, social activities with those families to make sure that they're included and integrated in what we do and participate on PAC as well. All right, thanks very much.
Okay, so as he had mentioned, if you have any questions for him, will be available. And let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. So his email address is in the bottom left of this slide. If you have any questions for him, feel free to reach out. Okay, so I am actually going to go back because I believe Manny is on the call now from the CAC office.
Hello, hello. Let me see.
Hi. So I wanted to preface this because I know that there are a million questions for Manny, but we are going to
Really?
give you time. Yes, you are.
After
more than
all, we've been answering questions for about a week, so let's make sure that we got some new questions.
Okay, so with it, I did want to preface because we do have a few more updates to follow, and we do have our guest speaker from the security office here too. So we'll try to limit it to 5 to 10 minutes tops for you, Manny, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Okay, great. So feel free.
So first, I want to cover a couple of quick things. First of all, a good morning, everyone. I think it's still morning. Yes. Hope you're having a good Saturday. I sent out an email, and another email will be going out about a reminder to our sophomore and junior parents. The email will go out to the students and the parents, but it's about the course selection process that starts in about a week or so. So, but I want to share this information so when you're talking to your child, you can go over it as well. So once again, the CACs will starting next week on Monday, we'll have sign up sheets in the CAC office for sophomores and juniors to set up a one-on-one 10-minute appointment with the CAC. And that'll just be signed up all next week. So they can pick any time or date they want. The actual registration will be after extended. So that will start on February 21st, and that will go for 2 weeks until March 3rd. So what will happen? The students will meet with their CAC. They'll bring their course selection form, which is their preference form. A couple of things, and this will be in an email, but I just want to make sure you're aware again. They need to have their course preference form signed by their parents. The math teacher needs to sign as well. And world language also needs signatures. So with sophomores only, they'll bring their laptop to the meeting as well as their course planning guide. Now, the email that the students get, the sophomores and the junior, it will give them the registration process. It's very simple. They'll go into PowerSchool and pre-select those courses. So it starts off with a hard copy of form that they walk around and get signatures. They'll take it home during extended, review it with you, and then they'll bring that back. So when they come to the meeting, they should have their courses already preloaded in PowerSchool. So that meeting with the CAC after extended will be to review it, make sure they'll check their graduation progress and make sure they're taking the appropriate number of classes, and they'll go on from there. So once again, that whole block of time will start. The sign up is Monday up until extended. Then when they come back from extended, the registration process will happen all the way till March 3rd. And something that students need to know, if they don't meet with their CAC for whatever reason, they don't go sign up because that's something they do independently. By March 3rd, we will close out their registration process. If a student did not meet with the CAC for an unexcused reason, then the CACs will choose their classes for them and put them into PowerSchool. All right. A quick update for senior parents. Just a reminder to remind your students to continue to update their college results in Naviance and share their decisions with their CACs. So if a student gets accepted, waitlisted, and even a negative decision like rejected, we ask that they share that information with the CAC because it goes directly to the student. And also they update the results section in Naviance. They all know where it's at. Many of them are doing it now. But they just got to continue to keep it updated because that's where we pull a lot of data based on that admissions data and college data that we use, as you know, in our school profile and information we share with you as well. All right. So any questions about the course selection process?
There is a question in the chat.
Okay.
Someone is asking if there's an opportunity to change a course during senior year, or are those courses set in stone?
Those courses are set in stone. There have to be some compelling circumstances, really, which is very rare, only because each senior sends out their class schedule for the year. And a lot of those decisions by colleges are based on, you know, their academic profile, as well as the courses that are going to be taken. So if there's a change, we do have to notify all the colleges on their list. And the colleges do, it could risk, you know, their decision as well. Does that answer your question?
Does that answer your question, person in the chat? I believe that does answer their question. Okay, so do we have any
Yes,
questions
thank
from? Thank you. Do we have any questions from anybody here in person or any others in the chat? Feel free to unmute yourself as well if you would like to ask a question directly.
And for our juniors, while you're thinking, we've started the family college conferences. So we've already begun to meet with our junior parents to really start that whole college planning process, if you will, to get our students ready for their research, our juniors, for their college research in the summer. So I just want to say thank you to the parents. I think I had about 3 meetings yesterday in my office, and they've been great. So thank you for coming out, especially when both parents come out. That's always great. So I just want to remind you, for the junior parents, if you have not done so, please complete the parent questionnaire, email that back to your CAC, and also set up that family college conference meeting. Those go from now until April 21st. And as you know, our college day is April 22nd. Our goal is to have up to 100 or more colleges come on Saturday, April 22nd to visit the school. We'll have guest speakers. We'll have breakout sessions from different colleges. And we're also right now discussing some new opportunities that we want to add to College Day for our students as well. So those will be discussed, and Ms. Molenhouse is overseeing the College Day this year.
Okay, and then can you confirm which grade levels those are for?
Right now, it's for our juniors, and there's still discussion about the population we'll be inviting. And some of our seniors may stop by, but right now it's for juniors and junior parents.
Thank you.
What time does the registration close? On March 3rd, I see that in the chat. Close of business, end of school day, we'll close out the registration.
So is that 4:30?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions for Manny? And Manny, did you have any other updates you'd like to share?
Yeah, one quick one, and then I'll let you guys have your time back. And just in case there's questions about courses too, keep in mind that during that first week of school, we always have add drop. And so we always encourage students, if they have any questions about a class or schedule, to, you know, have a conversation with their CAC and go over those courses and make sure everything on that list is something they really want to do, they would love to do, learn more about before they lock everything in. We don't change courses, as you know, for things like I don't like the teacher, I don't like that particular section. It has to be, once again, compelling reasons there. Or there's an error on, you know, PowerSchool generates that schedule, so it could be an error or something like that. But it is important to continue that communication. And right now we see a lot of that, but we welcome more of that. And always want to remind you, if you haven't reached out to your CAC, please do so. As parents, you want to build a good relationship, but good communication. And they'll set up individual appointments if necessary. So thank you very much. And you guys enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that, Manny.
All right.
And again, his email address is on the bottom of this slide as well, if you would like to contact him. And next, we'll go back and do student council updates. So Jeffrey, are you on?
Yep. Hello.
Hello. Morning.
Right. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So this month for StudCo, of our Res Life updates, we've been distributing more cooking utensils such as pots, pans, just general stuff like that. We also just recently purchased an upholstery cleaner, so that will be used for more general stuff like hall commons, couches, carpets, that sort of stuff. Last month, I know there was a question from one of the parents about how often we clean the like student rooms and everything, and we found out that it is every summer. There's a deep clean of all the halls in every room. The laundry card money has been transferred last week, I believe, so students should be getting their money back sometime soon. And we also found out that there is extra tables in every hall, and if you need one, your student can just ask for it. Should be stored in one of the storage rooms. Next slide. Some other general updates. Doors 6 and 13 are opening up more depending on the weather. There was a security audit that had been completed, but we don't know yet if that's related to the doors opening. Please remind your students to be wearing appropriate clothing during cold weather. Titan Crew is being discontinued at the moment. It is being reworked, I believe. Other updates include Casa de Luna was successful and Clash has officially started. Colors revealed on the 27th. And remind your students to get the service hours in order to participate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeffrey or student council? Moment. Well, thank you for giving us those updates. We really appreciate it. So next we'll have updates from Dr. Comfort of Claudia Anderson.
Hello, everyone.
Actually, let me real quick, because I guess there's a question in the chat. Who do we address issues regarding the washing machines and O1 not working?
You should take that up with the RC, and I think the RC can sort of contact maintenance, I believe.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And maybe Dr. Comfort or Katie, one of you could address that as well, because they said they've contacted the RC. So, okay. All right. Okay, thank you. Okay, so go ahead, Dr.
All right. Hello, everyone. I hope that you are staying warm this morning. I am remote. My voice is kind of funny. I have a bad cold, so I apologize if I, cough every once in a while. I don't have COVID, been tested. So, but anyway, it's really nice to be with you this morning. I have a few announcements and information to share. But first, I want to thank you all for those of you who were at Parent Day. That was really nice. Parents' Day is when we, we want to expose or share with you what your student experiences when it comes to academics. So it was nice for you to be there to, attend the classes that they attend and have that experience, getting to know who their teachers are. So we appreciate that very much. I also wanted to let you know that there is a webinar coming up through Challenge Success. It's called, it's titled The Well-Balanced Student. Registration information was sent in Titan Tuesday. I highly, highly, highly encourage you all to find some time to participate in that. It's so insightful and eye-opening. So please try and see if you can make it. Again, it's on February 28th at 6 p.m. So it's in the evening. I also wanted to ask you to please monitor and be aware of your students' total absences. We are noticing a lot of absences from students, both excused and unexcused. And yes, we know that some of the excused absences, they're out of your control. It could be something that's legitimate, but we are noticing a lot of absences. And I really like to ask you to please help us by being aware and monitor student absences. You know, we really want to partner with you families in ensuring that we emphasize the importance of class time for our students and for their success. So a student missing class every day because they overslept is not a good excuse. That happens every once in a while, but it shouldn't be a habit. So we need your help with that. Wednesday, April 12th is going to be SAT and PST testing is required for all juniors and sophomores. So please put that on your calendar. Again, April 12th, SAT and PST are required for both juniors and sophomores. I also have some graduation information. There are still a few students who have not ordered their regalia. So please note that the official IMSA cap and gown is required for the ceremony. So a student can't show up without that and graduate. So we would really want to make sure that every student has their regalia. Questions about individual orders can be directed to Herb Jones. And I'm going to put, let me go to the chat and I'll put information on there, contact information. Let me do it right now. For those of you who may need this, I also put the phone number. So that information is in the chat. So if you have not already done so, contact them to order that. If you have a previous graduate actually in your family, your current student may use their cap and gown. You must, however, notify the principal's office via email so that we can check your student off. The first senior student meeting will be held on February 21st. And during that meeting, ticket information will be shared with students. I've received some emails from some of you about ticket information, but that's when that information will be shared. During the ceremony, this is just a graduation information. There'll be no picture taking. And then post ceremony at the venue, you know, they always kick us out. As soon as we're done, they want us to go out the door and they close the door and they don't let us in. So we wanted to alert you to that so you can plan accordingly. So those are the few items that I wanted to share with you. As always, let me know what questions you have.
There's a question in the chat asking about COVID policy. A student that, let's see, tested positive on Thursday, when can they return to school?
Okay, typically we send an email, the nurse sends an email out, you know, of course, when the student is informed about being positive and then lets them know when they can come back. So I'll let the nurse continue to share that information. So the students should know when they're informed that they tested positive. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Dr. Akwaji Anderson? Okay, if you do think of any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and you'll be on the call a little bit longer, right?
Absolutely, I'm right here. I'm just going to be hiding behind my.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Maria, the sophomore parents had a bunch of questions for the CAC team and Dr. Akwaji Anderson.
Okay.
Okay. Did you hear that question?
Okay, no, I didn't hear the question.
Some of the questions that were submitted by the parents of sophomores to your team and the CAC team, they wanted to know if any of those will be addressed today.
Okay, are there additional questions that were not addressed because we thought your questions were addressed? So if there are additional questions that were not addressed, please let me know.
Yeah, I do have some of them over here. I can read them out.
Okay.
So some of the parents are requesting for more details on, you know, the GPA system, how it is calculated, and you know what to put in forms for scholarships, so is that information is available on how it's calculated, and it can be shared with the parents? That would be really useful.
So if you were not at the parent day, if you do not attend Parent Day, I remember very specifically, parents asked that question and the CACs responded. So watch the video from Parent Day. That information was, that question was asked and it was answered. So please watch that video. And then if you have additional questions, let us know.
Okay, thank you. And then also, it seems like some of the students are struggling with generally the IMSA system, including rigorous grading policies, and the fact that we don't have additional credit for AP on honors classes. It kind of gives a perceived lower GPA feel. So some of the parents were concerned about that.
Okay.
Do you have any assurances that you can share?
The CACs also answered that question. Manny, are you still on? Okay, maybe it's gone. Yeah, the CACs also answered that question. And so, I'm not going to take the time for everybody else. So again, check those videos. If you want to contact our office or the CACs directly, we'll be more than happy to talk to individual parents about that. But we've answered that question too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it would be useful for parents to understand what are the national level competitions that students have access to at IMSA, because they have, some of the sophomore parents are asking, which are these competitions that students participate in, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Again, we also answered that because remember you submitted these questions, and so we prepared and answered those. So yes, we will have that information. Again, we have the video. If it's not on there, the CACs have that information. So yes, absolutely, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Yep.
Okay. I think the rest of the items, I noted that, we had some answers on the previous session. So I think that's all we have for now, but
Yeah. So one of the things that I think would be helpful, because again, we've been answering the same questions over and over. I talked with Maria about this. I'm going to have the CACs actually take the questions that were answered, would turn it into Q&A, a document, and share it so that people can actually reference the document in addition to the videos. I think that would be helpful.
yeah, thank you so much. That would be great.
No problem. Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Akwaji Anderson.
Okay, no problem.
So next we have updates from Student Life, Katie Berger.
Good morning, everyone. As many of you know, because you've been at these meetings before, I don't know how to give a short update. So what I'm going to suggest is that we will send out an email to all parents this coming week, because I did kind of have a lot that I was going to go over today with updates in writing so that everybody gets all that information, and I will stay on. So I'm happy to answer questions via chat, but I want to make sure that we have time to hear from our security team. So Maria, if that's okay with you, then I'm happy to kind of yield my time.
Yes, that's totally fine. Thank you, Katie. Okay, so next we do have updates from security. We have Billy Mays from security here with us today. He's making his way up. So just wanted to remind everyone, if he'll give some updates, and if you have any questions for him, feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself afterwards.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, y'all don't talk back, huh? Okay. Alrighty. Well, I'm a type of guy that talks and walks at the same time. But since I gotta have this hockey puck, I'll make sure I stand still. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Willie Mays. I'm your campus safety director here in security operations. And just to kind of give you a little bit of my background, not very much of it. 37 years in law enforcement. Some of that includes juvenile and juvenile detention, as well as adult detention. And then also being a police officer for about 28 of those years. So been around a little bit seen a few things. And also, I'm a parent, and I have a son who's been to 2 different boarding schools outside of the state of Illinois. So I've had the experience that you normally have when you come here to IMSA as well. So this morning, what I wanted to do was cover a few things. And once I do that, then I want to leave some time for questions, because I know there's got to be questions, because you wanted me to be here. So, so when we take a look at the school itself, we always look at best practices. And when they talk about best practices, just like any other profession, all of us have our practices that make things work the way they're supposed to work, or the best way to make them work. So we're no different here at the school. We always look at best practices. So for example, one of the best practices is one door, one person, he sees everything that comes in and out. Best practice. Not best practice is having a bunch of doors and you don't know who's coming in and who's going out. And so what we've done is we try to make sure that we use the best practices to make sure we understand who's in our building. And that way we're able to give an account of who's here and who's not here. One of the other things is training. So when I first got here, the training that the officers were receiving, and when I say officers, they're campus safety officers, the training that they were receiving was more geared towards being policemen and not being school security. And so one of the things I wanted to do was make sure that the training that they receive is going to be reflective of their needs in order to do the job that we expect them to do here at IMSA. And some of the things that we actually have done since I've been here has been to try to create a more safe environment. And yes, it's probably a little bit more restrictive, but I honestly believe that it's safer. Most of you, when you go to the airports, you go through TSA, you feel like they just turn you upside down and shake you, right? Well, they do that because they need to slow everything down so they get a good picture of what's going on. And by getting a good picture, that way they're able to see what you're taking on the plane that you shouldn't take on the plane, or what might be dangerous on the plane. So they're looking at all those things. So we do the same thing here. Security is not one of those things that is convenient. It's one of those things that takes and slows things down so we can take a good picture and make sure that we're only allowing things into our environment that we want into our environment. Because believe it or not, every one of us, I mean, everybody, parents, students, teachers, staff members, we all are responsible for the safety of this community. I'm just the one that has paid to make sure that I pay attention to it. So it's all of our responsibility. And so things that we do, or when I make a recommendation, my recommendations are not just based on how Willie feels. My recommendation is based on the parents, the students, 650 of them, and then plus all our employees. So the decision or the recommendation that I'm making, it covers all of us. And so it does have a big impact. But I can't say that let's do this, knowing that about 800 of you is going to be a problem for you. So we try to take and put balance to things, but sometimes you can't put balance to being safe. Sometimes you just have to be safe and just the way it is. So some of the things we've done for our safety, I noticed you guys are probably seeing the gates that we've put up. So that's one to help with pedestrian traffic, because we have students walking around. We have people driving through the lots at excessive speeds. We have people who are doing deliveries here, who we do not know who they are. We just know they're in a car, they're delivering from some group, and then there might be 4 of them in the car. Well, the one person might work for them, the other 4 or 3 are just riders. So they don't need to be here. So we tried to take and ensure that we could stop that from happening. People driving across the campus, across the grass, speeding down the back road. So it's an array of things that have happened, that I've seen happen, that we try to ensure that we stop. And some of these things that we put into place are to assist with those. And yeah, normally when you do things like that, it takes and slows things down. So I understand that people might not appreciate the fact that during the day, during school hours, we don't let people in the back. Well, we have kids walking early in the morning, kids out running early in the morning. We have garbage trucks coming through. We have contractors back there working. And so what we found by doing that is that we have an overabundance of people going back there. And so we wanted to slow that down once again, so we could take a picture. And we wanted to make sure that that area out there is just as safe as this area here. We're able to monitor the doors here. We want to make sure we're monitoring what's going on out there as well, especially now that we have an open campus. So some of the other things that we put in place, we have new lighting around the campus so that it's a little I don't know if you've been there at night, but you can see. So we did put new lighting so that we can ensure that we're able to see and keep an eye on things. And so the other thing I'm going to talk about real quick is the StudCo student made reference to the threat assessment that we had done recently. So I did one when I first got here, and we were not adequate in certain areas. And I would imagine when we get this report back that some of the things that I brought up will be on this report too. And the reason why is because as Dr. Glazer talked to about funding, we need the funds in order to do some of these things. So the threat assessment was completed last week. I was supposed to receive the report on the 8th. I have not got it yet. So once we get that, I'm assuming that those things will be shared with you. But it's just normal stuff like someone comes here and try to get in the building. What is our process? Is our process best practice? You know, as we talked about the K through 12 best practices. Is that the best practice? Is this the best way to do things? Do we have the right lighting around the campus? Things of those natures. And I had some recommendations that I made that while they're good recommendations, it really puts a hamper on how we conduct business. So sometimes we have to kind of weigh those things and make a decision on that. So those are things I wanted to make sure that we understand. And we want to take and make sure that we're doing things to make sure we have visible deterrence. We want to make sure that we're checking external and internal threats. We want to make sure we don't have a culture of compliance, of complacency. And most situations where you're dealing with security, they always plan for the worst and pray for the best. And then we want to try to make sure we reduce the trauma that it causes the kids and being aware of certain things that's going on around them as well. So we had a training this year for the officers. It was a 24-hour training through school resources. We try to make sure that they are trained with CPR, de-escalation tactics and things of that nature so that they're able to communicate with the students. We've done some, like I said, the lighting outside the gates. We've actually taken and add different cameras with different, with AI in it. And some of you understand with AI, you know that those are a much better camera than what we probably had before. But the main thing you realize, there's no barriers to this campus. So the external community could be on the community very quickly. And so we talked about the fact that the threat assessment in 2019, that's when I came here. And then actually one that was done this year. So as soon as we get that back, we'll share that with you. So those are some of the things I just wanted to cover real quickly. I believe you probably have questions for me, and that's what I really want to try to do is answer the questions that you might have.
Really, one of the questions that came up from the chat is around visible and seen.
So
that exists in a way that's not related to the invisible fencing that we use that is there. Like, is it possible to protect our perimeter?
So yeah, to answer the question, yes, I do believe that we can protect our perimeter. I don't think we have to dig the line in the ground and put the flags up or anything like that. And that's why when I started replacing cameras, I started using the cameras that had an AI component in it because it allows me to be able to go into that camera and draw a like a map. And basically when someone breaches that edge of that map, we'll get a notification. So we're in the process of putting that together. We're working with our IT department so that when people will go outside that boundary or people come into those boundaries, we'll get a notification. Now, does that protect it? It protects us in the sense that we know that there's somebody out there, so we know to dispatch somebody to that area to see what's going on. Hopefully that answers that question. Any other questions?
There's one here. When are parents allowed to drive on the access road?
So parents are allowed to drive on the access road at the 4:30 in the evening. So from 6 to 4:30, there's no traffic back there outside of contractors, garbage trucks, things of that nature. At 4:30, parents can go back in the back. On Friday and then on Sunday at 4:30, we lock those gates open so that they do not even have to push the button. All they have to do is just proceed, because we realize parents pick their students up on Friday, take them home, bring them back Sunday. So where I believe the big issue is that Monday morning, people want to bring their kids back and it's past 6 o'clock and we don't allow them back. So that's kind of, I see people get a little upset about that.
So does anybody else have any questions for Willie right now? Feel free to unmute if you're on Zoom with us or put it in the chat.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can I go ahead? Yeah. So it is my understanding, and once again, we are going back to the incident of the intruder, and that has, I think, rattled the IMSA parent community probably to an extent. And my question is, it is my understanding that IMSA or security as a whole was not able to capture the license plate of the car. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct on that. We was not able to catch the license plate number on the car. We actually called APD. They actually checked their street cameras and they were unable to do the same.
Okay, so once again, Mr. Hayes, I think as you said very early in the game that, you know, parents, students, staff, everybody's in this together. And this is one of the biggest threat what we can perceive is somebody else who is unknown walking in with a good intention or a bad intention. So anything can be done about that so that next time when somebody comes in, I hope there is not a next time. And what do you need to get this thing happen so that at least we can capture the license plate of car? I know we are able to capture the face of a person who walked in and out, but you know, what can be done? I mean, what do you need if you can lay out certain things so that at least we can capture the license plate of the car who came into the campus for the next time?
So then I think that if we want to try to do that, then we have to put something at the parking lots at the entryways of the parking lot. And it would have to be such a camera that would be able to pick that up. Something similar to like probably the iPass camera or something like that, where they can take and capture things even at high rates of speeds. But we would have to have those at each entry point in order to catch every vehicle that comes onto the grounds. I'm not for sure what the ramifications is going to be with as far as historical or storage of that information. But I would imagine there would be some ramifications from that as well. But I know that those are cameras that are out there. I know they are expensive cameras. And so, but that's something that would probably help us with that. Guarantee, I don't think we.
But do you agree, right? If you would have a license plate, it would have been easier to identify the person, either by us or by the APD.
Well, it'd been easier to identify the car, yes.
And the person was driving it probably.
Well, if you got a picture of him, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think it's open to all parent community, open to all the staff, students, security, administration, and IMSA, how we can or how we should resolve this particular issue of funding and having a camera, because I think we have cameras, but it didn't help us to identify the car who was driving it. And the car came into the campus, went out, and it is eloped. And we have no way of knowing it. Some question, it defeats the purpose of having a camera at that point. I'm done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, do we have any other questions for Julie?
Good. All righty. Well, thank you very much for the invite. I'm around, so if you need to find me, just look around. I'm here. All right.
What's the best way if we do have more questions for you?
They can probably email me.
Great. We'll share your information. Thanks again. Thank you. So just a few closing things here. So I encourage you to visit the PAC website if you haven't done so already. We really do try to include a lot of information on there. And so what has been brought up is some questions come up kind of frequently, and we know that sometimes it's hard to know exactly where to find the information. So one helpful place is helpful resources, where it'll give you the links to places to find information. And some of them will link back to the IMSA website, but it also, we've included some links to the recordings that they've shared, especially with some of the CAC sessions that have happened, and also for the SIR sessions that have happened as well. And also one thing that is new that was started this month is a form to submit questions prior to our PAC session. So if you have any questions that come up and you're not getting it answered from any of the other avenues. So again, the various ways that you can find out more information and get your questions answered are not only, well, first and foremost, coming to these PAC sessions. And I say that because we do, as you've seen today, we try to gather as many of the representatives from both the PAC side and IMSA side to get the information out to you and have an opportunity for you to ask questions to the sources that would have that information. So first and foremost, I encourage you to attend these sessions. If you can't do it live, to listen to the recordings or check out the slide deck. But also the junior, sophomore, junior, and senior parent representative meetings, those are also a great way to get information, because if any of those topics come up, as you heard from Rashmi, that we try to get those to the appropriate people to get answers to those questions. And then lastly, to reach out directly to IMSA, which that actually should be the first point of contact. If you have any questions regarding anything that they can answer, is to reach out to those people directly. But again, if you have any questions in the meantime that you want answered, you can submit them on this form, and that can be for anything for the principal's office, PAC, student life, CACs, and then that way it gives them the opportunity to prepare better for these PAC sessions, to be able to share that information, and then also for us to monitor the time of our sessions and to make it run a little bit more efficiently. But as you can see, we leave it open to for question and answer live on here. But I feel like a lot of you have had your questions answered, because we really have not had as many questions, right, in the chat and live. So that is good. That's really what we're encouraging here, is that partnership between PAC and IMSA, and being able to continue those lines of communication. Okay, great. So also, we'd love to hear your feedback about what you want to hear in upcoming PAC sessions. As we pointed out numerous times throughout this session, there will be a new incoming board next year, so we want to make sure to give them the information they need to help improve it moving forward. So please take a few minutes if you have any feedback to share with us, to fill out that form. And also, if you'd like to donate to the PAC to help offset the costs for any of the multiple programs that we run, feel free to go to this page and do so. There's also a QR code. And for any of you that do shop at Amazon, we have only a few more weeks left for Amazon Smile. So if you are planning to purchase, use the link. Every little bit helps. And our next PAC session is on March 4. Same as today, simultaneously held in person here at Into and via Zoom. And in April, it will be in conjunction with College Day. And since College Day is held in the morning, we will have the session probably around noonish or 1. We will set the time as soon as we find out what the College Day schedule is as well. And then our final meeting of the year will be on May 13th. So we do invite you all to come celebrate the year with us and welcome the new incoming board. Here's information for the Board of Trustees meetings. There's one coming up on March 15th, and the information is there if you'd like to listen in on those meetings. And as always, feel free to visit the website or email us at info@imsapac.org if you have any questions. So do we have any last minute questions before we close out the session today? No? Well, thank you guys for, thank you everyone for taking the time out of your schedule to join us today. And I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.